little bit about Katherine Jeter before we get started. She has been dubbed the Silver Tornado, and I'm sure you are going to find out why. She's also described as faithful and resilient by her friends. What two great adjectives to have people describe you by. She's as comfortable giving a motivational talk to a garden club as she is speaking to 1,000 people. I can't say that, Katherine. That's pretty amazing. She has traveled all over as a lecturer, including England, Europe, the Middle East, the Pacific Rim, South America, and South Africa. Whether speaking on subjects within her field of expertise in medical care, pitching a plea for living life intentionally, or encouraging folks on matters of faith, she is earnest and energetic, exuberant and pragmatic. No topic is too serious for her splashes of trademark humor. So Katherine told us today that she's a college dropout, that she majored in sorority and minored in fraternity, and that she got magna cum laude, which I thought was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But she's actually a graduate from Excelsior College. She has a master's degree in counseling from Ball State University and a doctorate in education and human development from the George Washington University in DC. Katherine, is it okay that I told on you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Katherine and her husband Jack are parents of 3 impressive children, and we know that because one of them works for us, John Jeter. And they are currently welcoming another major life transition. In October 2018, they moved from Spartanburg, South Carolina to Tryon Estates, and they are immersing themselves in senior lifestyle activities with like-minded new friends. You have 4 marvelous grandchildren and 2.5 great-grandchildren. Is that still 2.5? Okay, all right. So with that, I am going to introduce Dr. Jeter. Katherine, thank you so much.
Around this room, I can see that there are some of you who rode bicycles as children. Some of you ride bicycles today. Some of you might even remember when you rode a bike a block and a half to your friend's house. It was the biggest adventure you had ever had. And you were free and out there doing stuff. Well, I don't have any of those memories. I never rode a bicycle. I was told by one of my friends from the 7th grade, try out roller skates once, and we agreed we didn't like it. I've never played soccer. I've never played field hockey. I was never athletic. Nobody would ever ask me to be on their team because my hand-eye coordination was and probably is still so bad. So I don't have any of those memories. But 2 wheels changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life, and 2 wheels account for how come it is that I'm here right now this evening. So it all kind of got started in 2007. I had had breast cancer about 4 years before that, and I was approaching my 70th birthday, and I thought, I have to do something to make a statement. I mean, I don't want to be a victim, and I don't want to be just a survivor. I want to be a thriver. And simultaneously, Oprah Winfrey had a show in which she gave every member of her audience $100. And she said, take this $100, grow it, and do something good with it. Well, that just hated me. I would drive around town from place to place thinking, what would I do if somebody handed me a $100 bill and told me to grow it and then go do something? Would I put it in the bank or what? I don't think I'd buy a lottery ticket, but what in the world would I do with it? So here we are in 2007, and I am 69 years old. I've got it on a baby. It's not coming out. What can we do? I don't know. Keith is telling me I got to do something.
Want to check
Sarah. All right, how about that? There we go. Better. Thank you, Keisha. So anyway, I'm 69 years old and I'm looking for something big for 70. And I asked all kinds of people. And finally, a young woman said to me, well, you know, you could ride your bike 70 miles on your 70th birthday. I said, I could? I don't. Oh, she said, but you could. Well, that got me started. I thought, I could do that. And maybe remember that $100? I could raise $70,000 for my two favorite charities. Doesn't have a ring, 70, 70, 70. 70 miles for my 70th birthday to raise $70,000 for my two favorite charities. So by golly, got my bike, got it. I did own a bike. I hadn't ridden it, but I thought maybe it would be a good idea for retirement. And so I got it off the wall, and I called a young man. I said, I need a bicycle coach. And we started out right over there on the Swamp Rabbit Trail, and it was so exciting. And then I went to a fellow who used to work for the Herald Journal. I think he works for the hospital now, Dudley Brown. And I said, Dudley, I need some press because I need to raise a lot of money. I need to raise $70,000. Oh, he said, I don't know about that. And I said, well, we got to do it. He said, well, how are you going to start? I said, well, I'm going to write my Christmas card list. Well, I guess he didn't know that people really even had Christmas card lists, but I did, and so that's where we started. And by golly, on the 25th of October, 15 of us rode 70 miles, and in fact, we exceeded the goal of $70,000 and raised more than that. Well, in the process, my friend from Columbus, Ohio, who set the whole thing up, and I was telling the class this afternoon, I tend to be kind of a big picture person, and then I forget the details. So my friend Marge from Columbus, Ohio, set up the whole trip on the Little Miami Scenic Trail and told us where the hotel was going to be, where we were going to stay. We were going to have a marvelous time, and in fact, we did. So she and I kind of got addicted to this bicycle thing. We thought it was a lot of fun, and we were going to do more of it. So we looked through catalogs, and we found that there was an organization called Woman Tours. It was a company owned by women, for women, with women. And we went to Moab, Utah for a week of cycling. Now listen, we didn't know bicycles from banana peels. And we didn't know how to change a tire. We didn't know anything, but we just loved it. And we cycled in all of that beautiful area of Moab. It was just amazing. Well, while we were there, somebody was talking about cycling across the United States. I said, oh, what a shame. The window of opportunity closed before I even saw out the window. Oh my gosh, but wouldn't that have been fun? And one of the guys said, oh, Katherine, you ought to do this. Marge said, no, we couldn't do this. I said, oh, but Marge, we could do this. And we should do this. We really should do it. Well, I want to tell you, 2011, we did it. We started out in San Diego, and we cycled for 56 days and got to St. Augustine, Florida. And it was quite the thing. We will never forget it. We talk about it every day practically. It was such a, I'm sorry that transformative is such a hackneyed term now, because it was truly transformative. We saw things we never could have imagined, and we did things we never could have imagined. Well, when you begin to do these outrageous things, then you hear about other people doing other outrageous things, and you think, well, if I did that, then I could do something else. So right after we finished, I went to a seminar, and 11 ladies talked about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. And I thought, well, look here, if they can do it, I can do it. If I can get across the United States, I can get up this mountain. And so we did, but Marge said, that's it. Cycling, yes. Climbing up mountains, no, not my thing. Cold is not my thing. But anyway, look at there, 19,341 feet. And I do want to tell you this, when you get above 15,000 feet, you can think. So it's okay. I mean, you just can't quite think how miserable you are. You can't think how to turn over in your tent. It's just quite a thing. But such an exciting event. This is the Western Breach. If you all want to see something fun, get on YouTube and watch the Western Breach presentation, because it's not done anymore. But the women who did it before we did the Western Breach, so we thought we should do the Western Breach too. But I want you to look down here at this little patch of color right here. That's us coming up. And you can see how vertical this is. And so my tent mate said she was going up, and she looked down to see how far she could fall, and she kind of squealed, and her guide said, "Linda, don't look down." So she said in about 10 minutes, she looked up, and she saw how much farther we still had to go. He said, "Linda, don't look up." So, but you couldn't see a path anywhere here. It was just all scree and stuff. I don't know what you call all that. I just know it's hard. And we couldn't find the path. But my guy did the most clever thing. He told one of the porters to take one end of my pole, and I took the other. And he wasn't pulling me up, but wherever the pole went, I went. And so I didn't have to spend a lot of energy trying to figure out where to put my foot down or where to scramble. It was just the grandest thing. And so indeed, there we are, and we had to get up from that. And the YouTube presentation on the Western Breach says this was filmed before helmets were required. Well, I can tell you, we never saw a helmet, we never heard about a helmet, nobody required it, and it wouldn't make a bit of difference. If you went down from here, a helmet was not going down. But we summited. We were 10 when we started out, and you cannot train for altitude, and you cannot predict who will succumb to altitude sickness and who won't. And so, in fact, the youngest, fittest of our group developed a serious headache at about 13,000 feet. We never saw her again until we got back down to 12,000 feet. They took her right down. My tent mate, on the other hand, was so nauseated and so sick, and she kept saying, "I think I'm gonna die, I'm so sick." And the guys would come into the tent and they'd look her right in the eye. "Linda, how are you?" "I'm so sick, I think I'm gonna die." "Linda, drink some broke. Tomorrow, you'll be strong like Simba, a lion." She was, but she didn't have a headache, but she got over it, and she is right there at summiting. Now, you don't see anybody else with a guide there but me, do you? My guide stayed with me. This is what I want to say about that. Daniel encouraged me all the way up. He sang me up, he prayed me up, he talked me up. "Bibi, you can do this." Bibi is grandmother in Swahili, and that has become my nickname recently. "Bibi, you can do this. You are strong, you can do this. It is my privilege to help you. Not it's my job, it's my privilege to help you achieve your dream." And Daniel and I still are in touch a lot, and we actually brought him to the United States, and I felt like Oprah Winfrey showing him the United States, and he's since traveled a lot. But I learned a lot about the value of encouragement and affirmation from Daniel, because he was right there all the time to be certain that I could achieve my dream. Well, it was just a marvelous thing. And what I learned from that and from our trip across is that you are never too old. Now let me tell you about these two old gals. One of them, this one right here, is 91. This one is 78. This one was terrified of water, couldn't swim, but wanted to somehow. And so the 91-year-old teaches the 78-year-old to swim. So you're never too old for any of these things. And all the people who told me I was too old to do those two things that I did, cycling across country and going up that mountain, fie on them. I did it, and I'm so glad. And you're never too young. And to the students who are here, I really want to stress that. You will never be too young to aspire to something, to make something happen, to look at Greta Thunberg. Look, at 16, she was Times Person of the Year. And look at Zion Williamson, 19 years old. Look what they've accomplished. If you have a dream, if you have a purpose that you're really passionate about, whatever it is, go for it. Because you're not gonna get any better at it in 2 years just because you had 2 more birthdays. So you're never too young and you're never too old. Well, I'm sure that Zion has had his challenges. No doubt Greta has had hers. I've had mine, and you all have all had yours. But my first one came in April 2013 as I was beginning to make our plans for Kilimanjaro. We already had the trip planned, we already had our 10 people to go, everything was on course, and I was felled by a fulminating staphylococcal pneumonia in Kerrville, Texas, coming across country. And I was on a ventilator for 8 days. And our son, John Jeter, who's here in the room, was kind enough to come and see what he could do for his sick old mother and his terrified old father. And I did get over it, obviously, but I went to physical therapy. Well, now Todd here is going to work on this 78-year-old lady who can barely walk, now that I've just gotten off the ventilator, and he thinks that going from commode to couch is a big event. I said, Todd, you don't understand. I got to get up a mountain in just 5 months, so we got to work extra hard on this project. Well, he just came right on in, and he really was invested in getting me up that mountain. But it took a long time. I'm going to tell you, 4 months out, I was able to walk 10 minutes on an elliptical, and I was able to walk 1.5 miles on our street. It was just pathetic. But I kept thinking, I can do this. I can get over this. And never mind this little wheeze that other people could hear, I can get up that mountain. And then I finally told my husband, I said, you know what? I'm going to fly to Tanzania. If I can't get up the mountain, at least I'll be there to send everybody off, and at least I'll be there to welcome them back home. But by golly, don't you know, I did get up it, and it was a marvelous thing. I practiced and I trained. Now, hiking up a big hill to 4,000 feet, I thought was big stuff. I didn't know that 4,000 feet doesn't have anything to do with 19,000 feet. There's nothing similar about it at all. But I did practice and my legs got kind of strong. This was the challenge, was getting in and out of the sleeping bag and on the ground and getting back up again. And then here's the deal. So there I am, I'm okay on my left hip. You see there's a hood here that keeps your head warm. But if you want to turn on your right hip, guess what? Your face is in the hood. And I never could figure that out. The higher we went, the harder it got for me to try to figure it out, so I just stayed on the left hip the whole time. But there's nothing better than practice and training. And then we had another little issue in March, actually 3 years ago yesterday, and a snowboarder came and from behind, 6'4", 240 pounds, and hit me and broke both my legs and shattered one of my ankles. And then what do you do with a 78-year-old lady with legs that are busted up and an ankle that's busted up? But I had this thing planned for my 80th birthday, and I had to get over this. I had great surgeries, great friends. So I learned to walk again with my walker out on the street. And some of my friends took me to the athletic club where I water walked and lifted heavy things and did all that. And I was determined, by golly, we were going to do the 80th birthday project. Well, the one thing I really wanted to do, because I knew how good the water at the athletic club felt, was I wanted to get into the jacuzzi in our house. That was my goal. And I had gotten pretty strong with my upper body, and I could transfer from the wheelchair that you see here up and over and into the jacuzzi. But what about getting out? Was I going to have enough strength in my upper body to vault myself up and out? So the first time I wore a bathing suit, I thought, if we have to call the EMT, I don't want to scare them to death. I just couldn't go there. So it took me a long time to get those legs that didn't work into the bathing suit, but I did. And I got down there, but by golly, I got up. And I didn't have to call anybody for help. And I was so proud. So I was fueled from this to go to the next level of rehabilitation. So besides being not too old and not too young, I would tell you that you need resilience at the ready. That has been the thing that I probably have learned more than anything from those two wheels, is the importance of not letting anything keep you down and being ready for everything. Resilience is something that you can nurture. That you can build a storehouse of resilience to draw from and to use.
And I am so grateful for that piece of knowledge and realization that came from cycling and from climbing and doing silly things. The first thing that I know of that really helps with resilience is what Sir William Osler, one of the founders of Johns Hopkins University, a physician, used to teach his residents, and that is live in day-type compartments. Don't carry with you tomorrow what happened today. It's over. When today is over, it's over. So let it go. Maybe you can learn from it. Maybe you don't want it to ever happen like that again, but never you mind. Don't take it with you. Don't live with regret. It just hurts me so when I'm talking to people who are telling me about some regret that they have from 35 years ago. What a sad thing. I'm so sorry I didn't spend more time doing thus and such. I'm so unhappy that something happened to me back then. Don't live with regret. It just will weigh you down and slow you down. And then finally, be grateful. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that some of those awful places we stayed coming across country, I wasn't on a gym floor and I wasn't out in the yard. I mean, it didn't make any difference how bad that motel was, and one of them was pretty bad. You wouldn't park your car in front of it. We stayed in it. But if you're in nowhere, New Mexico, and there's not another motel anywhere around, a bed was better than the yard or the gym floor, I can tell you that. And expressing gratitude. You know, there's some saying about how not expressing gratitude is like receiving a gift and not opening it, or some such a thing as that. But it feels so good to say thank you to people, to watch them receive your thanks. It's just the grandest thing. And we found no matter what was happening to us, either going up that mountain with the porters and the guys or going across country, being appreciative of one little bit of comfort was so much better than yammering about 3 or 4 things that were not the way you wanted them to be at that moment. Let me just read you this prayer from John Bailey. Let me use disappointments as material for patience. Let me use success as material for thankfulness. Let me use suspense as material for perseverance. Let me use danger as material for courage. Let me use reproach as material for long suffering. Let me use praise as material for humility. Let me use pleasure as material for temperance. And let me use pains as material for endurance. And we do all want to endure, don't we? And overcome. So here I am, I'm back to skiing again. I haven't learned much. No, I really have. I'll tell you what I've learned. I've learned to wear high-vis clothes. Nobody's gonna hit me again. Do you love my neon pants? But anyway, I've been amazed to hear from people that I don't even know saying, you know, you got over that, and you got well, and you were able to start cycling again and skiing again, and if you can do it, that translates into if you old soul can do it, then surely I, much younger than you, can do it. But that's great. What a wonderful thing that I've been able to be that vehicle for some people who have had similar experiences and are wondering. So I do want to be a pilgrim. I don't want to be a signpost. So then I was going to be 80. And so then I had to do something really big for 80, because 70 was so wonderful. So it was riding the Natchez Trace Parkway, 444 miles from Nashville, Tennessee to Natchez, Mississippi. And we had 16 cyclists with us and 2 support. And the idea was to ride those 444 miles on my 80th birthday, or for my 80th birthday, to raise $80,000 for Global Bike. Now, Global Bike is right here in Spartanburg. It was founded here. It's headquartered here. And they provide bicycles to women's cooperatives in Tanzania to help them access economic and healthcare resources. It is the most dramatic, remarkable thing. We did have the best time. Here we started out at the Country Music Hall of Fame right here in Nashville and came right down. It was a 9-day trip and it was absolutely so much fun. And then in August, our daughter Sally, who is a Converse alum, and she also was a vice president here for a number of years, Sally and I went to Tanzania to see how our money that we raised was doing. Now I want y'all to look at this. This lady has 3 children on her bike, firewood, and a pot of water. That has got to be 120 pounds. These 2 women have 120 pounds of water on this Buffalo bike that Global Bike provides for them. If they did not have this bike, she, this little tiny person right here, would have one of these on her head and one in her hand. So that would be about 80 pounds, going from her village out to get the water and then coming back, taking who knows how many hours. And never mind, they are beginning to see the deleterious changes that are occurring in the women's necks and spine from carrying all the weight that they carry over all the years that they do. So it was so exciting, and now I'm just all invested in this because I've seen it, I've ridden on those roads, and I know what our help can do for these women and for their families and their villages. So besides never being too old or too young, besides having resilience at the ready, the last thing I would offer you is the importance of making it matter. Every single day, every single project ought to matter in the deepest viscera of our bodies. And there's so many ways to make it matter. Maybe you're a Converse student, maybe you're a junior, you don't have a clue what you want to do, but you know who you are, you know what your potential is, you know how vast the world is, and you can just imagine, and maybe you can try one thing out and then try another thing out. It doesn't make any difference as long as you make today matter. Get up in the morning. It is the most wonderful day in the world. I've never lived it before. It is going to be so exciting. So a day to be joyful. A day to send a text or an email to somebody and say, you mean the world to me, or I never thanked you for that note that you sent me, or that text that you sent me some time ago. Or to a parent, you might say, well, you know, I always thought you were so harsh and so awful to me, but now that I'm older, I'm beginning to appreciate that. A day to get your affairs in order. Now listen, somebody come up and help me with my desk. But, you know, whatever your affairs in order need to be in order about. Maybe it's your desk. Maybe if you're older, you haven't gotten all of your end-of-life decisions made and taken care of. There's so many affairs that we all need to get in order. Your bank affairs in order, whatever it is. A day to be outrageously generous. I've watched Oprah Winfrey. And I wear a watch that was a gift from Oprah Winfrey, and I rub it all the time. And the reason I rub it is I rub it to remind myself to be as generous and as gracious as she is. When people reach out to grab her, she does not pull back. She reaches forward and takes their hand and looks them in the eye. And then, of course, you remember her favorite thing show. She just loves to give stuff away. And as I mentioned, when we brought Daniel here from Tanzania, I felt a little bit like Oprah Winfrey. And let me tell you my really outrageously generous story. It wasn't my generosity. A lady emailed me 8 days after my ski crash. I was lying in bed with sleeves wrapped around my legs, circulating ice water. 24/7, and she said, I want you to come to the Turks and Caicos Islands, to my home, and I want you to spend a week in the warm Caribbean water rehabilitating. And bring anybody you'd like to bring, because she had a very big house. And I did. And that bit of generosity, which was so huge at the time, and still is huge, but it has colored the way I give, the way I think about giving every single day. A day to be healthy. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you feeding yourself well? Are you getting enough exercise? If you do it one day, then you may want to do it the next day and the next day, and in 13 days, it'll be a habit. A day to smile at a tired grocery checker, or somebody else, a salesperson that you see, How about Maurice at Publix? Have you smiled at Maurice lately and said something nice to Maurice? Doesn't he make our day so much better? And a day to express gratitude. We shouldn't ever miss one day, one opportunity to say thank you to somebody for whatever that person did, said, or intimated by just simply body language. So let me just close by saying that you've made my day matter a whole lot. I so thank you for coming to spend it with me this evening. It's just meant so much. It's meant a great deal. And I've loved the opportunity to be with the students. I've loved President Newkirk's welcome, Sarah's help with the AV department and getting the thing turned on. I'm very grateful for our time together, and I hope you will be grateful as well. God bless.
Now we get to do a fireside chat. So if you would like to send up questions, you still have some time. There's paper over there, but hopefully if you've got them, you've passed them in. And I will ask Katherine a few questions, and then I will ask her your questions. So if you didn't get a chance to do a question, go over, grab a piece of paper, don't be shy, and send it on up as we do our set change. And will you help me one more time give her a round of applause?
There we go. All right. Oh, the fireside. You know, you can buy those. You can buy those portable fires.
Oh, is that what we? We're looking at the fireplace behind us on the screen. We have it promptly.
They sell them at Lowe's.
All right, so we're going to get started and ask Katherine a few questions. So, Katherine, you've talked a lot about resilience, and I think a lot of people think that resilience is sort of an innate characteristic. You're born with it. Tell me how you think you've developed resilience over the years and what you find to be some of the key ways to build resilience and grit.
Thank you for asking that question. There are two traits that have fascinated me probably all of my life. One is charisma and the other is resilience. I don't think you can nurture charisma. I think you either have it or don't have it. My brother had it. People wanted to touch the hem of my garment because they thought that would bring them closer to him. But resilience, I do believe you can prepare to be resilient. I think you can nurture it. I think you can strengthen it every day. I think gratitude is one thing for sure. I think being determined to be resilient it is key. I'm not going to let this get me down. I may grieve over something. I mean, I'm not saying, this is not suck it up philosophy, but having the strength. I remember a classmate of my husband's wrote a book, Preparing for Grief, because their daughter had been killed in an automobile accident. And I thought, how bizarre. How could you prepare for grief? But in her book, it was very important at looking at how you approach an unwelcome situation or a tragic situation. And if you start at a younger age, you know, some of the tragedies are really not that tragic. They just seem that way when you're 13 or 15 or whatever it is. But to have that mindset that I will be resilient, I will not let this get me down. I will overcome this and I will find the purpose in it. There just needs to be a purpose. And I mean, I think about the 70-mile bike ride. It was, I just wanted to say to somebody, look, you know, I'm not a victim and I'm not just a survivor. I'm more than that. So I would just encourage everybody to think about, watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos about resilience. It will give you great ideas. But I think it's just such an important attribute to have and to nurture.
So you talked a lot about what you've done post-cancer and as you've aged and how you've embraced life. Would you give everyone here a little bit of background about when you moved to New York and took on this professional life with your kids and what that was like? Because that's a really amazing part of your leadership and the, this technology that you developed. That's really pretty amazing.
Well, thank you very much. It's been fun, and I don't know, it always sounds kind of braggadocio, but it really was a great adventure. I told the class today, when I went to college, I was 16 when I went to college, and the advisor said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I want to help people." And he said, "Well, you need to major in sociology." So I majored in sorority, minored in fraternity fin. Krista told you that. And I did so well. Academically, not so much. So thank goodness a very nice man came along to marry. But we had 2 children, and our second child was not well when he was born, and nobody could find out what was wrong with him. But finally, at 3 months, he was diagnosed, and he was about to die. And he had lots of operations and had his plumbing rearranged. And we wanted to help people who had the same issues with their children. And we wrote a little booklet. My husband is quite an artist, and he did the illustrations, and I wrote the verbiage. And one of the urologists caring for our son said, "Oh, my, we need a lot of those books, because we're doing a lot of those operations on little kids. Could you do that for us, please?" And then the chair of the Department of Urology at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in New York City asked me if I would come and work for him and take care of their babies, because they were doing more of this kind of surgery. And so I'll never forget, I had a Smith Corona typewriter, those little 5 by, I don't know what size pieces of paper, you roll it in there and type. And so he wanted to know my academic credentials. So I spent the first page telling him about my father, and the second page telling him about my mother. She graduated from Wellesley. And the third page telling him about my brother and my husband. And then I got to the 4th page, and I said, "Well, and I don't have any credentials yet." And he said, "That's all right. Enthusiasm compensates for lack of credentials." So I went to New York, and I had the most spectacular first 4 years of work in just a rarefied atmosphere. And as I was having to leave because my husband was being reassigned, Dr. Latimer was his name, just the most marvelous mentor in the world, said, "We need to do something about cleaning up your academic credentials, because they really are lacking." So he said, "I could get you into medical school, but I don't think you want to be a doctor. You seem to want to extend the arm of the physician. I could get you into nursing school, but that seems like that would take too much time and be too confusing. So why don't you just get a secular degree?" So that's how the doctorate in education and human development came about. And it has worked beautifully, because everybody knows everybody knew I couldn't qualify for their job, so nobody ever felt threatened, and I got to do exactly what I wanted to do. It was marvelous. Thank you for asking.
So tell us about your mentor and how important you think it is to have a mentor.
I think everybody ought to have a mentor. I think it is the most magnificent, magical relationship. Dr. Latimer saw in me talents and potential that I don't think my parents saw, because they didn't know. He saw a response in me to his attention and his encouragement and his affirmations that just simply generated more of the same. He thought it was very important that people not be shackled by a regional dialect, so I had speech training. I used to have a Texas drawl. I don't have one anymore. In case you thought I did, I don't. We paid her a lot of money. But he was always interested in what I could do and what he thought his help for me could help me accomplish. It was just the most marvelous thing. And I looked around me at people who had the same opportunity I did, and they were too busy to accept his mentorship. So I just would say to everybody, find a mentor, ask somebody. I mean, I think women, it's wonderful when women can have a female mentor. I would like to have Debbie Apollo as my mentor, but she's not old enough to be my mentor. But I would love that aura that Debbie exudes, and that faithfulness and that evenness. And if I could get around and have her show me how to do that, maybe I could emulate it some.
So one of the questions we have is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
The advice I would give to my younger self probably was given to me, and I didn't listen, and it would have been to be more prudent and to be more careful and to be less impetuous. So I'm not sure that's very good advice, because had I been more prudent and had I been less impetuous, I might not have done the things that I did. I do believe, though, that giving younger people advice, if I were giving myself advice, it would be listen hard to what you're saying you want to do, and build the capabilities and get the education, or whatever it is, make the contacts that will enable you to do that. Don't just dismiss it as, well, this is too big a dream, or this is somebody from my place, whatever my place is, could never do that. Just get rid of the negative self-talk and embolden yourself if nobody else is around to embolden you.
That's great. Were you ever discouraged during your rehabilitation? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Yes, I certainly was. Well, we have another rehabilitated person right down there with Dr. Barker, but it's just a constant thing. Now, I do believe, and I didn't get to talk about this afternoon to that class, so I get to talk to you about it tonight, but I do believe in Dr. William Glasser's positive addiction theory. And I do believe if you keep your pulse up for more than 30 minutes a day or at a time, you will get this bolus of endorphins. And that makes you feel good. And you want to chase it. And if it starts to dissipate, you want to figure out how to get it back again, which means another 30 minutes of keeping your heart rate up. So I just guess I did more and thinking, you know, every little step must, but I got terribly despondent. But on the other hand, you know, when somebody would come and see me, then I had to put on the face. And so then I thought, well, you know, I almost believe this, that I'm going to be all right, I'm not going to limp, and I'm going to be able to ski again. But you just have to just grit. And that's not girls raised in the South. That's just grit.
You know, one of the things you talked about doing every day is expressing gratitude. And I don't know if you read a study that said that they had college kids express gratitude and a group not express gratitude. And then they gave each of them money and asked them do you want to take the money now, or do you want to invest it for something more later? And they found that those that expressed gratitude beforehand were much more likely to save it to earn more later. So they were willing to put off, you know, receiving something now and to work harder and to have perseverance. Do you think that's part of your resilience over the years? Do you think a gratitude frame of mind has been a part of that?
Gosh, well, I hope that's so. One of the, when our son was so ill, I was 21 years old, and my mother was not a person of faith. She was just a wonderful pragmatist. And I threw myself across the bed. And I said, why would God be doing this to me? And you've heard the thing, you know, why me, why not me? But mother's was way more pragmatic than that. Well, if it weren't you, who would you wish it on? Well, when you take it to that level, so I think gratitude is the other side of that. if somebody did something for me, what can I do? How can I pay that forward? How can I let my gratitude show? And whether it's expressing it or whether it's saving money to make it count or whatever it is, I have loved my fundraising. I really have. I mean, it's been hard work, but every dollar that came in seemed to be an affirmation that this was a good thing. It was a good thing. So, yes, I think it's all part of gratitude.
You've traveled to many different places. Where was your favorite place to go?
Oh my goodness, where was my favorite place to go? Well, probably the very favorite place we lived was in West Point, New York, where we were amongst all of those gorgeous cadets. And when we were there, in those days, there were no women there. But they were so wholesome and healthy, and they always said thank you. That's the darndest thing. I think that might have been really the underpinning of my whole thing of gratitude. I think of the foreign countries, though, I do believe that I loved all of the Scandinavian countries. But then again, there was New Zealand. And then again, there was Africa. So I just don't know what my favorite place was. It was all such a privilege.
So kind of a tactical question. Have you ever attempted the assault on Marion or Mitchell?
Yes, I drove a car up there to welcome all the cyclists. Listen, I ride to wave. I do. I speak to the cows and the horses and the sheep and the people. I do not ride to sweat and die. Say I did it. I just came to the sport too late, I guess. I don't know. But no, I have not and will not. Don't, but I tell you what now, y'all listen up. In October, I am supposed to rappel down the side of the AC Marriott. So pay attention because I'm looking for money. It's for the Cancer Association of Spartanburg and Cherokee County. And I think when somebody 82 rappels down the side of a building, 11 stories high, I think that's worth a contribution.
All right, get your checkbooks out. Oh, we have a question in the back.
Oh, yes, me. I don't actually know the answer to this question. Thank you. I actually don't know the answer to this question. You talked about self-talk. What do you do with external messages? Oh, you can't do that. Or, oh, don't major in music. You'll never make any money. Or, you're 19 years old. You got a sick kid. You're never going to survive.
I know.
What do you do with external messages?
I just don't pay any attention to.
There you go.
No, I just don't. And there were a lot of those. And there are still a lot of them today, like you ought not to be going to ski again. And people, I mean, you just need to build up a little bit of skin to keep them away. Thank you for that question, because I love that.
Katherine, some people say that having an external message like that inspires them. Some people just slough it off, and some people ponder it and maybe wrestle with it. Which one do you think you are?
Well, I know what I am. I know that the negative messages did not inspire me, but my husband is going to be 88 in a couple of 3 weeks or something. I don't know, very soon. He still remembers when he was 10 years old and his aunt said, "You are fat and you are clumsy and you're never going to amount to anything." And he went to West Point, and that, he says that drove him. He always wanted to be a soldier, and he said, "I can do this. I'm going to show Aunt Agnes." Well, I don't know, but I mean, that was a place where I don't know what I would have done if she'd said that. I think I would have just sloughed it off. I think I just don't hear those messages, or I don't internalize them.
Well, you and I have this in common about men in uniform, and so my husband went to the Naval Academy, and we'll get into the Army versus Navy thing.
Right. I'm the first
related to the source of your fabled energy? You know, do you take special vitamins? Like, what is the secret sauce that you have?
I exercise. Exercise creates energy. I do not take vitamins. I do not take medicine. My mother did not believe in allergies, so I don't have allergies. When I had pneumonia, the pulmonologist and I didn't gee and haw very well. And he said, well, tell me about your allergies. And I looked at him and I said, I don't have any allergies. My mother wouldn't allow them.
I think that I do believe that getting up in the morning and setting yourself up for a day to achieve and succeed and make somebody else's life happier is energizing. I do believe, and we do devotionals in the morning after our cup of coffee that we don't talk to each other about or through or in. But I really do believe this whole addiction thing to exercise, and I do know that if I don't exercise, I don't have near the energy that I have when I do, and I do exercise every day unless some great catastrophic thing happens to interfere.
How do you keep your sense of humor through all of this, and how do you transform suffering into humor?
Oh, wow. How do I transform? I think maybe it's because now it's expected of me, so I don't want to disappoint anybody. I don't want to become a sour old woman. So I think I look for the humor in things. I also think that, you know, there's a fine line between the humor of joy and the humor of enthusiasm and sarcastic humor. And sarcastic humor is awful, and it can eat you up and it can eat people around you up. So I think the source of my humor is really optimism and enthusiasm, and trying to be slightly entertaining to somebody that needs entertaining. Maybe even me. I mean, you know.
Oh, that's really important. I think that's right. My mother always had that magical way, or if I was calling her and we had a bad day, we could find the absurd in any of it and laugh about it. And I loved that about her.
That's so important.
Yeah.
So important. And that's why people are calling. Is to find the absurd, to feel better. Nobody. And I want to tell, do I have time? Yeah, maybe. I have a friend who goes on and on. I mean, every time you talk to her, it's an organ recital. And it's just awful. And I have to spend days building up my courage and everything to call her because I know what's coming. And the other day, I could hear Dr. William Glasser talk about how that's not helpful to let somebody keep on going on and on. So she started and I said, Mary Jane, I did not call you for that. I called you to hear your good news today. It was wonderful. It was just smart. She didn't hang up on me. That was good. And it took her a minute to redirect her thoughts. But we had an almost really good conversation. So I'm now going to use this, and I offer it to you. But we just didn't listen.
You talked before about the power of the internal message that you give yourself, that when you're standing on the top of that slope, what you say to yourself. And I think that's really important. If we're constantly saying to ourselves, I don't think I can do this, or I failed the last time I did this, or they're not going to like me if I go in there, we start to believe that, right? Can you talk a little bit how you've developed this internal positive message and the importance you've seen with it?
I have this little chant that I do to myself. I am brave. I am strong. I can do this slope all day long. I am brave. I am strong. I can get up this hill all day long. And I do that a lot. I do a lot of praying as well. I don't want you to think that I don't. I do a lot of praying and I have a lot of faith. But I do chant myself up a lot when challenging things are in my face. And I talk to the Holy Spirit a lot too, but
At the same time, I have to really tell myself, you can do this. And it's so interesting to me because in Colorado, they put you back together again so you can go out and do it again. Now here, the orthopedists are saying, you're not gonna go back out there and do that again, are you? Well, I mean, we just got you put back together. But there's a whole different mindset. And so I try to stay in that mindset of well, I got to put back together again so I can go do this again. It's working so far.
I love that. So I've got mine that someone taught to me, and mine is every single day in every single way, I'm getting better and better.
Oh, do you love that?
So, I mean, I love yours right now too, so I may adopt yours because as I'm running and I'm thinking, this is really hard, I'm like, every single day and every single way, I'm getting better and better. This is gonna get me better, right? But I love yours too. I think that's great, just saying, I'm brave, I'm strong, I can do this
All day long.
right?
Whatever it is.
Okay, we have time for maybe one or two more questions from the crowd. Anyone have a question? Or a question I failed to ask that you wanted me to ask? No? Anyone just want to thank Katherine for being brave and strong and for giving us this inspiration? One last question. When is your inspirational book coming out?
When I have time to sit down and write it, I will tell you that the title is Almost Flossie. I was almost named Flossie, not Florence, Flossie. That was my grandmother, my maternal grandmother's name. My mother said, Flossie, that's the name the boys will never forget, Flossie Fagan. And my father was a very profane man, and he said, you're damn right, they'd never take it out either. Fortunately, Flossie came along and said, don't do that to her. I've hated my name since I knew what it was. My beloved husband was almost named Peter Jeter. His mother thought that a euphonious name would be memorable to other people. And his godmother stepped in. Now, can you imagine the wedding invitations in South Texas? Flossie Fagan to Peter Jeter. So I was almost Flossie, and I almost never did anything athletic, and I almost didn't graduate from college, and I almost didn't do or did a lot of things that I didn't or didn't do, and I can't wait to write that book. But right this minute, I am too busy.
I can't wait to read that book, so you're going to have to find time to write it, right? Yeah, all right. Thank you so much again.
I need it for my back. I need it for my bicycle. Thank you so much. Love it. This was so fun.